Hi everyone, and welcome to the next installment of the TA Job Market Review with me, Robert Nunn. And today I am joined across the pond by Allison Wademan. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Robert. How are you?
I'm very well, very well. As usual, can you just give us a brief intro to yourself and to your TA experience to date?
Sure. I am 15 years within the TA space. I started very early as a recruiter, quickly realized that I don't want to be a recruiter. It's just not, you're either a recruiter or you're not, and I am not. But I love the talent space. While I spent some time in that HR generalist area, I really moved into talent and started to grow within recruiting operations. I've done that on both the in-house side and the RPO side. Different experiences with each. Really very, very exciting to get to see the growth of recruiting operations as an industry or an area. Right now I'm in the process of looking for something in the talent space that can leverage kind of that experience that I have on both sides.
Yeah. And a reminder that the TA space is not just the people that put bums on seats, but it's the whole operational gambit that comes to it, but equally is affected by the market. But what's your current view of the market in the US from where you sit?
Sure. So I it has been a rough year, I think, across the board. And I'm seeing over the past, 4 or 5 weeks, things have been picking up. There are more opportunities that I'm seeing out there. It seems to be slowing down a bit. Could be. I'm assuming we're getting ready to slow down a bit for the holidays in a few weeks. So I think overall, I expect January to be strong. But it's reflective of the changes that we're seeing in tech and in the availability of talent, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you approach your job search then? What's your tricks or insights that you can lend us?
I will admit, I am a data nerd. I'm just a general overall nerd, but data in particular. It's why I like operations. And I've approached my job search very much in the same way. Like I'm doing the same things that I would do for a client or an employer, but I'm using it for myself. So I've built a dashboard for myself, of course, a tracker for everything all of my activity and where I stand, my status. And I'm really leveraging metrics. So I'm looking at my, app to phone screen ratio and my phone screen to interview ratio. I think part of it tells me what to do. Like it will tell me, it has told me the areas where I'm not as successful, which is great. It allows me to kind of tweak where I need to. But also it just keeps me interested in the search. I love what I do. So to do it for myself has been fun.
Yeah, excellent. And now I sort of know what your answer is going to be for this question, because we met, this is our second time of chatting. We met in your typical networking way of, hey, you're all in the same things, fancy a chat, a couple of months ago now. But what is your attitude to networking and personal brand, and how important is it to you?
Oh, it's vital. I think, really you need to take time to network, to meet people. You never know what opportunities will come up from that. But beyond that, it really just, it grows your network. It makes you a more valuable person to work with. Because we're really, especially in the talent space, a large network and a strong network is going to help you become more successful. You really need to focus on, being brave. I'm a bit of an introvert, so networking doesn't come naturally, but, be brave and network, ask questions, offer help where you can. I'm fortunate that I've been in this industry for, a bit. So I've experienced a few things, and I'm happy to when I get to share that knowledge as well and that experience.
Excellent. And have you had the chance to, in this downtime, I call it downtime, it's obviously not, because looking for work is fairly full on. But what steps have you taken to upskill and learn some new skills?
Oh, not as many as I'd like. I mean, I have taken a few LinkedIn learning courses. My goal is to really focus right now, because the market has picked up a little bit. I'm focusing more on interviewing and having these networking meetings. But as I know the downtime is coming, as it naturally does with the holiday and the end of the year, I'm going to be pursuing starting to study for my SHRM certification.
Okay.
Really kind of look at certifications, areas where I know will have a bigger impact on me. And taking the time to do that. The other thing that I'm doing, not necessarily in terms of upskilling, but leveraging the downtime, is volunteering more, which just makes me feel like a better person. It's I'm able to do it, so I'm happy that I can.
Yeah.
And really just taking the time to better improve my relationship within my community and help where I can.
Excellent. I like that. Can you share an example of a process that you've been part of that was a positive one, the one that stood out to you in particular?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So, I mean, you've been in a fair few processes, interviews, what have you. Has there been a process that stood out for excellent candidate experience, or interview sessions or anything like that? Anything
Yes,
stood out? Yeah.
I 100% can. It was the most phenomenal experience from a candidate's perspective. So I had applied to a role where, I reviewed the role. I know I'm a great fit. It looks interesting to me, right? I'm excited about this particular role. And I reached out, I applied without having any conversation or anything. The recruiter reached out to me and said, "Allison, I'm sorry. I, see that you applied to this role. Background looks great, but you're outside of the area that we're looking for. We're looking for, X miles away from this office, and you're a little too close." Which that in and of itself floored me. I was just amazed that a recruiter would reach out and give that personal touch before any relationship was built.
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing. And I said as much to her. So, I think that was such a great experience and so unusual.
Yeah.
Turns out the benefit was I was in fact not as close as she thought I was. So it was a great conversation and a great dialogue. And I was able to pursue, the conversation about the role. So I think that was overall the best experience that I've been through so far.
Wonderful. And we're, from a market perspective, the UK is not that far behind the US, but we sort of all assume and accept, I suppose, that the US leads the way with things. So what's your view of next year, given the roller coaster we've been through? What does next year look like for TA?
I think next year we'll bounce back, right? I think that the roles will start to become more available again. Businesses will start to realize that there is value in TA, but I do think that will change a little bit. I think that longer term, what a recruiter does is going to change, and I think generative AI is going to be the cause of that.
Yeah.
I think businesses and operations are going to start to look at how can we leverage this very rapidly approaching train. And I think it's going to change the way that recruiters recruit. I think it's going to change the way that we partner with our hiring managers and our leaders. My hope is that this will allow us to become more partners instead of instead of order takers, right? And I think that that's what is exciting about the TA space in the future.
Wonderful. Excellent. And lastly, as is tradition, a question asked by my previous guest for you to answer is, if you could change one thing in recruitment today to have a more positive impact, what would you change?
Oh, communication. I think, I think technology is great as you use it. I think communication between hiring managers and recruiters has always been tough, which makes communication between recruiters and candidates tough. I think that's really where we lack. We can do better, right? We can create better candidate experiences for everyone. It's just a question of how. Can you be transparent? What can you do to be transparent and really share with your candidates what the status is? If they are being considered, if they're not, if they're potentially on the back burner, whatever the status is. I think we're all adults. Yeah. And that improved communication will go a long way.
Excellent. I think a lot of people would answer the same way, communication. But
yeah.
Thank you very much, Allison. Thank you for your time and all the best with your onward search.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to speak with you as always, Rob. Thank you so much for having me.